so forth. That was great.
Yeah.
Hey everyone, this is David Wallerman. This is my friend Chris Liepe.
Hello.
We're in Chris's studio today because we're going to talk about delays.
Delays.
And you're the delay master. Or maybe not.
Maybe a little. No.
We know a little bit. Anyways, we hope it'll be interesting. You'll find out after this. I got here this morning, and Chris was already hard working on a track that we're gonna talk about to illustrate this.
Yeah.
And we're talking really about delays, not just the track.
Right, but the track provides the context for making the delay work.
Yes.
So let's listen to a little bit of the track without the guitar, and then we'll talk about what each guitar is doing.
Sounds great.
So strong quarter note.
Yeah. I'm overwhelmed by the beauty of this track, Chris.
Well, thank you.
No, it is nice. But yes, there's a strong pulse here. And
There's a lot of space.
Yes.
There's not a lot going on. There's room for what you heard in the introduction to happen, and there's room for soloing. But we haven't muddied it up with a bunch of stuff. And I should also say too that there's not a lot of rhythmic things going on. We've got the strong pulse, but everything else is really soupy. And that's why there's room for other rhythmic things to happen.
Yeah, and yeah, that's great. So we've got our canvas, really. We're going to kind of paint over it. And we've been talking about this quite a bit, how delay really can be used in two ways. It can be used as this extra flavor that you use on a tone. You've got a delay pedal. Yeah.
It's kind of like a reverb.
Exactly, yes. Yeah. But there's another way, a secret way.
It's very secret.
The secret is that you can use delay as an instrument.
It becomes kind of part of the band, right? Like, it's not just something that is part of your effects chain. It becomes something that you react to, that you plan parts around, that becomes something, this other instrumentalist that contributes to the entire texture of what's going on. And that's the type of delay we're really honing in on.
Yeah.
Not as both as me, the player who's doing the rhythmic delay, and then you as someone who's reacting to that happening, and how your guitar settings should be set based on how my guitar settings are set. So this is not just a lesson in delay, although that's the primary focus. It's also a lesson in arranging and how to make everything work together. One of the main problems that people sort of discover when they start to work with effects in this way, effects as part of an instrument, is that they way overdo it. Their signal chains are really long. They pull up these presets with 19 amps and 17 quad delays kind of going everywhere. And then they play something that is like, they might play, you know, that doesn't sound right with that delay sound at all.
No.
And so what we're going to show you is we're going to show you how to react, how to play for the delay and let the delay play for you. So let's take a look at the signal chain real quick.
Let's do that. So we're using positive grid. Which one is that?
Bias effects.
Bias effects, yeah.
Okay. Great stuff. So this is sort of irrelevant here. Well, not really irrelevant. We're using a little bit of clean boost. And then we've got a modded plexi and some reverb, but this is the really important guy.
Yeah.
So a lot of times when you see, stock delay pedals or setups or whatever, you'll see delay time being adjusted in milliseconds.
Right.
And that's great for the ambient sort of thing that we're talking about.
Yeah. Or if you know exactly how many milliseconds you need to be locked into the delay.
And in another video, we can share with you the math equations that you can generate specific tempo delays from milliseconds. But we won't do that today.
I probably won't watch that one.
Okay.
Well, maybe.
Maybe we won't. We just won't make it.
There you go.
Okay. So anyway.
But there's a secret feature.
Right.
That is not a secret at all.
BPM, beats per minute. So what we're doing is we're locking the pedal to the tempo of the session. And this doesn't just have to happen inside a DAW either. This can happen if you have a tempo delay pedal and you have a click track, your drummer has a click track or whatever, and you know the tempo. That can happen outside the box too.
Sure.
So, okay, so we've got this set to BPM.
Yep, and now that's going to actually transform the way that button is going to work. The delay time is no longer going to be milliseconds.
It's going to give you this.
Actual rhythm values.
Right, so this is 1/8 D. Let's forget about the 1/8 for a minute and let's talk about D. What is D?
Well, actually, I forgot to switch the screen, but this is the button we were talking there,
Oh,
the delay time. Yeah, there you go.
Delay time, 1/8 D.
Yes. Well, D is for dotted.
Dotted.
A dot. What is a dot?
A dot. A dot adds half again the value of the note.
Yeah.
So we'll try this again. We did this last time. And
someone messed up. It's like, don't.
Okay, so we've got a note.
Yeah, we got a note.
And if we add a dot to it,
we're going to take half of this length here, which is about here, and add it right after. Right there.
And that's going to be the value of the note.
So that means that if this is a timeline right here, and you're playing a note right here, and these are eighth notes, that means that the repetition is going to be happening here. So you'll have ba, ba, right there.
Right.
Something like that.
That was great. We did it.
We did it. And so now that you understand the D of the dot, that can work with any rhythm value.
With any note value.
Right. Quarter dots, dotted notes, eighth.
Right. If it's a quarter note, it's going to add half again a quarter note. If it's an eighth note dotted, it's going to add half again an eighth note.
Exactly.
If it's a half note, it's going to add half a half note after it. That's where some people get confused, where they think it's something else. But that's the way it goes. That's the way it works. So, okay. So we have a dotted eighth note. Now, let's listen to just the drums here. And let's feel the eighth note.
Okay. I feel it.
Okay.
Those are the eighths.
There's the eighth.
All right.
Okay. So if I do this. You can hear it's longer than a single repeat.
Yeah. So that repetition happens half of the value of eighths, which is it'll happen between the second and the third eighths.
Right. And so what it does when you keep that going is it creates this sense of a 16th note pattern.
Yeah.
So if I do this, we've got moving 16th notes.
Yeah, we are hearing tekka, 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 tekka. In the back of our mind, that's kind of the...
Right, but there's no way you could actually play that.
Exactly.
Because of the way the notes are sustaining into each other, and I'm kind of holding this, this triad or chord or whatever, and it creates a sound all completely unique in and of itself. So that's the dotted eighth.
Now, can you, just for the purpose of this, can you play the same exact part without the delay?
Without the delay, yeah. And you'll be able to hone in on the rhythm that I'm using. I'm intentionally using straight eighths.
Yeah, it's a very simple, boring part.
Right, especially without the delay. But if I were to, so I'm using straight eighths because I want the delay to do the work.
Yeah.
If I play more than that, I'm not leaving room for this cool setup to work. So yeah, let's take the delay off, and then we'll go ahead and just roll it again. Meh.
Doesn't add much. Especially with the wrong notes.
And an out-of-tune E string.
Yeah, it's not that great.
Yeah, it doesn't sound that great. But you add in the delay, and you play the exact same thing.
It fills up the space.
I especially like it with like 3 notes. Listen.
It's almost like a shimmer effect that you have on reverbs.
Yeah. Okay, so driving the points home, we are playing straight eighth notes, and we are letting the dotted eighth sound over a track with a very strong quarter note pulse. We're letting the delay do its work and create a unique texture. Yeah. And then you're adding to that on top of it, the melody.
Yeah, so being that this track, the drums, the synths, all that, plus Chris's part, which really doesn't sound just like a straight guitar because it's got the delay on top of it, there's a lot of layers going on. And so my job is not to overtake that, to mess up this beautiful thing. So I'm still going to use delay, but in a different way. My delay, which here's my sound. You can still hear the repetition there. But first of all, it's not super loud in volume, the repetition, the delay itself, which means that it's not really coloring what I play, and it's not really going to influence what I play too much. But it's going to be used more as almost like a reverb, and also almost as a sustainer, which is, I really like that. Where you play a note, and under the right conditions, you know, with an amp cranked up and all that, you got this like almost like feedback type of thing that happens.
It's a trail.
Yeah, when you add a little bit of reverb, vibrato, I kind of get the same feel here with the delay that I'm playing. When I'm hanging on a note and doing that vibrato, the delay, the way it's set up, which we'll talk about, helps that ring out a little more, and that's what I really like. So how do we do that? How did you set up the delay here on on this?
So this is the right one, yes. Okay.
Yep.
So we have milliseconds. He's right around 300 milliseconds, and we find, you know, that anything under 300 milliseconds seems to give you this sense of being one with the instrument. Being the effect doesn't stand out as a rhythmic thing like this guitar did. So if we were to, for example, increase this to like 700, and then you were to play, and then we'll do this too.
Yeah. My fast parts are getting really muddy because you really hear that.
Yeah.
The feedback thing, sustain, that I like to do, it doesn't smoothen out. It's like I've got my note and then it's a little louder. You hear another note coming in, kind of. So I don't like that.
No.
We don't like that.
Especially in the context of this track. If we didn't already have the rhythmic delay going, and you were playing a line and then reacting to what the delay was doing, but that roll is already full.
Yeah, I don't want to overstep on what you're doing.
Right, you need to be the ambient guy as far as effects, and targeted so that the effects sort of get out of the way and support your playing, as opposed to reacting to your effects.
Yeah.
And there's always going to be a little bit of that, right? You know, like you're going to play differently when you have that nice musical delay trail.
Yeah, yeah.
But it doesn't define the parts you play. In fact, it should get out of the way.
And that's because the delay, the repetition, is happening too far out, really.
Right.
The time is too long here.
So if we dial this back to, we had it right around 300.
Yeah, that seemed to be a good sweet spot.
Yeah.
See, if I play my long sustained notes, then it's very natural. In the fast parts,
sounds great. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds great, and that's right around 300. So it's a time thing, I think. Now, what happens if we decrease that even more? We'd get in this slapback world a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. We go something like this, and we...
Yeah. It sounds very much like a really bad reverb.
Right. Which might work for like...
Right. Maybe not for the ambient thing. Right?
Yeah, it wouldn't work for that really. Sounds like you're playing in a bathtub or something.
It does. Yeah. I agree.
Rockabilly maybe a little bit.
Yeah. The 300 millisecond spot is spot on.
Pretty cool. And you know, we should talk about too, not only on your tone, but on my tone, the feedback, the repeats.
Yes.
If the repeats are too long, you start muddying things up sort of in the same way.
Yeah.
Again, if you want it for a specific effect, maybe, but that's not really what we're going for. We want it to be kind of transparent.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, if we go back and look at feedback on this sound, this is pretty, you have to get this dialed in to make it work. We've got one prominent repeat set up here. Oops. We're on one at D, and then we've got, so if I do this and turn this feedback way up, and I try to play the same thing again, it's gonna go back on itself and it's gonna sound like, or You tell me what it sounds like. The chords run into each other.
Yeah. And that's an important thing to realize. Delay is not only a rhythm device, because we are playing over a harmonic context, which means that, you know, a note repeated might sound fine in this space of the song, but if it repeats on this space where the sound changes, that note that you had becomes something else on that chord, which might not work.
Right.
And that's what's happening there.
Right. So you have to understand the tempo of what you're playing over, and you have to set the feedback. If you're playing with a tempo delay, it's not just about the tempo of the track. You have to understand that, but you also have to understand the time between chord changes.
Yep.
These are relatively slow, and so we have some grace. But if you had, if you're wanting to do this and your chord changes were changing faster, you'd want your feedback to be even less. You might even want it to be off, which would be then just one repeat.
Yeah. So the feedback is the number of times something is going to be repeated.
You might see it on some delay pedals as repeats.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, so we've talked about the track, we've talked about the delay, the settings for my guitar and your guitar, and how they're working together, and how we're reacting to the sounds and each other's parts. Ready to jam out?
Yeah, let's do it. And guys, if you haven't already, you should subscribe, because every week, 3 videos coming Mondays, Wednesdays, and Friday, helping guitar players like you find your voice on the instrument, develop it to tell your own musical personality. And you can download the track that Chris made here. Is that okay?
Sure.
Awesome. I should have asked, actually. To do that, just follow the link below. Enter your email, and I'll send you that track so you can practice all those delay stuff. And thank you so much, Chris. This is fun.
Yeah.
Let's just jam it out.
Sounds good.